Hello students, welcome to June 19th lesson notes. Again, you can pause, rewind, watch over again. These problems will be similar to problems that you will have to do today for your assignments. Again, there are two parts, so make sure you send both of them for full credit, 10 points each. You want to turn in late, only take it 1 week on the assigned date. So if you want to turn in late by next Friday, you won't get full credit though. So please try to turn it in by the end of today, all right? Okay. So first thing, how to tell a function from seeing a graph or a table. So for the first part of the lesson, we're going to look at a couple tables, okay? And as you can see, I already wrote out the 3 tables for you. Now, you do want to know if each one of these tables represent a function, meaning that basically is time going to repeat? Because remember guys, we want to focus on x being time, and then y being location. I think that will help you understand a little bit better. So why don't we go ahead and talk about that for each table, all right? So if you don't want time to repeat, because if time repeat, that means the function doesn't exist. It means something else. It doesn't mean, if it's a function, it's not going to be, all right? So let's look at the first table. You want to focus on x first. As you can see, x is not repeating. So that one's a function. It's that simple, function. All right, and then let's move on to number 2. Again, focus on the x first. So you don't want time repeating. You can't repeat time. There's no such thing. You can't go back to the future or even to the future. Okay, so again, focus on x. X is time. And as you can see, x is repeating here and here. Remember, x can repeat. It's like you can talk about the past, you just can't be there. So if the numbers are the same, that means it's okay, but they're not the same, 0 and -9. So this one is not a function. You cannot be here at 8 o'clock and then be here at 8 o'clock. It doesn't make any sense. So the location of those two there has to be the same if x is the same. So not a function. All right, let's move on to number 3. Let's take a look here. I see a bunch of x repeating. That can't happen unless your y is the same number. So it is the same number. It is 10, 10, 10. That means at 4 o'clock you were here, at 4 o'clock you were there, at 4 o'clock you were at the same spot. So that's okay. So this one is a function. All right, it's pretty easy for today's lesson. All right, so that's all you have to do is just look at that and look at the table and then tell me it's a function or not. All right, you also need to look at a graph and you need to tell me if the graph is a function or not. Okay, so let's take a look at these graphs. If they ask you for the domain and range, we're actually going to skip that for this summer. I don't have time to fit that in, so we're not going to do domain and range. It actually takes an elaborate explanation. It just takes too much time. If you have me for a regular 1A in a normal class setting, I would definitely teach you that. All right. Or you can always YouTube that if you want to learn what domain and range is. Okay. All right. Let's go to number 10 for this graph here. And again, you want to focus on x. X is time. All right. So let's take a look real fast, and as you can see, it flows. So at this time, because this is x here, okay? So at this time, looks like you're on that one location, all right? So you're on that one location, and it looks like it's, yeah. So it looks like at every single time, you're at a different location, okay? So we could be at the same location, but at the same time, different time, then that's fine, okay? So it looks like it flows perfectly. So this one is a function. All right, so again, focus on x. And this one is pretty obvious that, let's say for example, at 3 o'clock, how can you be here and here at the same time? So just basically, this is your line here, okay? And at 3 o'clock, you cannot be here at this location, same time. And then as you can see, there's more spot too, like here and here, and you can't be there. This one here, so basically it's hitting 2 locations at the same time. So this one is not a function. And this one, as you can see, it flows. If it flows from left to right, basically, and not looping back, then it's a function. So again, this one's a function because at 3 o'clock you're here, at 2 o'clock you're here, at 1 o'clock you're here, and at whatever -1 you're here, at -2 you're there. This one here at 3 you're at 2 location, which doesn't make any sense. All right, let's go to 13. When you see a dot, you just focus on make sure there's no other dot on top of it. Okay, that's fine. So at -3 you're here, at 1, oh, I see right here, look at this. At -1 you're here and here. So that doesn't make any sense right there. So this is definitely not a function. All right, this one, look, it flows naturally, it never came back, it doesn't hit 2 spots, so this one's a function. And this one is obviously not a function. As you can see, it loops around and around. Basically, you're going in a time loop. If you're thinking about time, you're going back and forth in time, and it keeps on hitting over and over again. So this is not a function. All right, and that's pretty much today's lesson. You will be doing a bunch of review problems, and one of the review problems that you have to do is solve an equation. So let's go and practice on a couple of solving equations today. All right. All right. So for the first one, when you solve an equation, you always want to locate your variable, which is dx. Okay, and I see 3 of them. One on this side, one on this side. Let's put a 1 here. That's just visually easier to see that way. And on this side of the equal sign, there's an equal sign there. Okay, so there's 2 sides, that side and that side. On this side, you actually want to combine the x first because it's just visually easier, and you can. If you can put those 2 numbers together, you get 3x, and you get +8. And on this side, you get 3x -1. It's visually easier when there's only 1 variable, okay, on one side, on the side, all right? So, all right, so let's go ahead and solve it. And as you can see, they have the same variable on both sides, but they're not quite the same equation. This side has a +8, that side has -8. If you subtract 3x to both sides, it gives you 0 on both sides with -1 and 8. So since they're not the same equation on both sides, the equation does not exist, or the solution does not exist, so this one here is no solution. All right, I mean, whatever number you plug in, they'll always be different numbers. So therefore, you can't have an x where they both equal to the same number. All right, okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 2. All right, number 2, there's only x on this side and there's only x on this side, which is good. Okay, but on this side, again, you want to make it visually look a little easier. So let's go ahead and combine the constant. And that will give me, I always like to write my x first, that's just me. You don't have to do that, +32. And on this side is 30 minus 3x. All right, now there's x on both sides. You have to remove one of them. I like to remove the smaller number, so I add 6x. Again, if you were to add 3x to both sides, you would get the same answer. I always like to remove my smaller number, so -6 is smaller than -3. All right, equal, that gives me 32. That would give me 30. Oh, my bad. 32 and 30. This one would give me +3x. There you go. All right, subtract 30 to both sides. All right, on this side I'm left with 3x. On this side it gives me 2. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. And looks like I'm going to have 2/3 as my answer. All right, let's move on to our very last problem. Our very last problem has a parenthesis. Again, you want things to be visually easier. On this side, I put a 1 right here. I'm going to combine those 2. And for this one, I'm going to do the distributive property. So we could skip a little step here. That would give me -6x. That's a negative time. Treat this like a negative sign. That makes your life easier. So as a negative times a negative is a +18. And this side here, I can combine the x. Again, I want my life to be easier, so I'm going to visually make sure I can combine like terms so I can see a little bit easier. +8 right there. Again, variables on both sides. I like to remove the smaller one. Again, this one's the smaller one, so I'm going to add 6x. Now again, if you add and subtract 2x to both sides, you will get the same answer. All right, that would give me 8x +8. Subtract 8 to both sides. That would give me, let me move up a little bit. 8x cancel, that would give me 10 divided by 8. You always want to reduce, even though you can't divide, that's okay. You can always leave your answer as a fraction. This one here divided by 2 gives me 5/4. All right, Friday's lesson is really easy, just a couple of review problems and focusing on something's a function or not. Again, if they ask you for domain and range, you can skip that. You could just go ahead and tell me it's a function or not. Show as much work as you can for full credit. And again, the more you do, the better. And that's about it. Thank you, and you have a great weekend.